Okay, I'm going to show you how to pre-populate some data into the form. In my case, in this demo, I'm going to use a separate form page inside of the same application. This could be a separate application completely, but the steps are pretty much the same. In this solution, it's just easier to copy and zip up or send one application, so you only have to install one application that includes the presentation as well as the stored data. So let's start with a new application. I'm just going to call it PrePop internal data, something like that. Okay. And let's see, this will be my display, maybe just some, not names, just display data. This is my name of my form. Display data again. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add, so that's the first default page. And then I'm going to, default form rather. I'm going to add another form, call it maybe storage form. Create that. And then storage data. So in the storage data, essentially all we really need is a single line input. And this is my data. So this is the data that we'll wind up using in our display data. So that's all I need here. And if I go to the first form, I'm just going to add a drop down, for example. So this is my display data drop down, or whatever you want to call it. And we'll go ahead and save it for now. Okay, so the key thing here to hook this up is you got to go to the settings side, and you'll see on the services side, you actually have two different forms. So it allows you to create services for both of them, although there is no way for the end user to get to the storage form. So this is sort of a hidden form because we have not added any additional next page or any buttons that transfer the control over to the next form, or even through some sort of a workflow to do something similar. So I'm going to go to the display data form, which is my first one, and I'm going to add a service. In this case, we're just going to look up the an existing app as a service option. So in that solution, we just use IBM Forms Experience Builder application. And then what I'm going to do is search for my second form, which was storage form right here. So storage form and hit search. And we should get some responses back. And if you were to create a separate application completely, you do the exact same step. In this case, you'll see my application is called PrePop internal data. And then it finds that storage form. That's my second form, as you can see on the services side here. And then we want to select the search option. So that's going to be my service. For input, there is no input because we're not going to filter any data. I want to get everything that's available in that database, if you will, or the application. Essentially, we only have one field, so that will just basically be one column data. But my output, of course, whatever I get back from the search results, you'll get a unique identifier and you will get the actual data itself. So I'm going to take that, and we only have one UI element on the display data side, which essentially is the save data and the display data. So I'm going to select the result data, hook it up to the save data, as well as to the display value. So you'll see those two options here. Essentially, whatever the response of that single line data entry that I've created on the secondary form, which is my hidden storage area, I'm going to search all the records, and the response that comes back, I'm going to get the result of it, and I'm going to assign it to, and when it's a dropdown, you have to assign it to two different options. One is what value do you want to show to the end user as their selection, and what value do you want to store inside of the database, and even the value you'll see when you export it to a spreadsheet, etc. So you have to assign it to both. Obviously, you could do a result set, and you could create multiple different fields and have one field that's more of a display specific field. The other one is like storage. So you could say Texas and TX as my saved value, for example, for a state. And that's pretty much it. Hit apply, hit OK. So now we have a simple form. So if we go back here, we have two forms. One is the display data form, which has a one form on it, page on it. And we have a storage form, which just has a single storage data field page. But none of these forms are actually using that service. So we have to go back to the only display form we have, which is this one, and go to the properties. And here you go into the events section and you will see an event for on new. And notice the information here. This event is invoked when a new form instance is created, allowing for pre-population of form item values, which is exactly what we want. So I'm going to select on new, and I'm going to say, I want you to call a service on new, and there is the service that we added on the settings side here just previously. And that's it. Hit apply, hit OK, go ahead and save it. And I'm going to go ahead and hit close here. So there's my pre-pop internal data. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and deploy this solution. Now, in the case of having the storage inside of the application itself, in order to actually test it, we have to deploy it and add some dummy data. Then only we'll be able to test that it actually exists. To make it easier on the testing side, perhaps sometimes it might be beneficial to create a separate application called storage data, and then create your display application, and then use the storage application just like I did in that services side. So here, first thing I'm going to do is obviously I'm going to go and see view responses. This is how I'm going to fill in some dummy data. So as soon as you go in here, you'll see display data. Of course, there's no response. Then I want to go to the storage form, and again, there's no response. But here, I'm going to launch internally on the storage form, and I'm going to say maybe widgets, submit, okay, launch again, and I don't know, chairs, just for some information. And now I'm just going to go close this out, and you'll see that when I launch, it will actually launch the application, and by default, the first form page will be shown, and there's no way for me to go to the second storage area form, so it's just going to show me this form. And if the service works, it will actually pre-populate data from the storage and show it to me here. So there it is. It already did the pre-population, and it only does it on new, so you can't just go back and add more. So I have to close this out, go back to the view responses, go to the storage form area again, launch, and then say, I don't know, lamps or something like that, and hit OK. So now you'll see we have widgets, chairs, and lamps. And if I close this out, go back here and launch it, and then select drop down. There you go. You have the three options available. And now everything is in single location. So for purposes of pre-population, it's a pretty good, easy demo to do.